We looked at everything. We looked at every phase in pretty good detail. I mean, we have only had 4 games, but really just focusing on fundamentals in every single phase, really, and just knowing that we can play a lot better. We're leaving too many yards out there, especially in the return game. So that's going to be a big emphasis for us moving forward.
How much time does a special teams coach spend during the week checking the forecast?
Not too much. It can vary here a lot, with the weather. So you don't really know until the day of the game. And in Cleveland, I think that you're going to get a variety of weather patterns, even during a game. So we're prepared for everything. We practice outside. We've been in all the elements.
What stands out to you about that 49ers special teams unit?
Can you repeat that?
What stands out to you about the 49ers special teams unit?
They play hard. They have, I would say, they're pretty basic in their schemes, and they execute well. They have a really good player in George Odom, who I coached in Indianapolis, was an all-pro for me. Very, very instinctive player that finds his way to the ball, tough, competitive. One of my favorite guys I've coached. So he's going to be a guy that we're going to have to stop.
What's your philosophy on onside kicks? Can they still be executed at this day and age?
They can still be executed. It's definitely harder to get the ball, especially with no run up to the line of scrimmage. Everyone's got to be static. There can't be any, motions or shifts or anything like that. It's definitely harder to get the ball. But I'm a fan of, why are we trying to let the team that's losing back in the game? Like, you should have did more work earlier in the game. We shouldn't be trying to give the team that's losing the ball back. As far as like the rules go, like, do more work early in the game. That way you're not in that situation.
Have you tried any in your career as a coordinator?
Tried any onside kicks?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we try. We've hit a few in Indy. We practice them a lot. So, there's a variety of kicks you can use. There's not a ton of, I would say, there's really 2 different types of looks you can get as far as a return team in that, because you can only have so many players in the box. But yeah, we're prepared for those situations on the recovery end, and if we had to kick one.
So if you don't like the idea of letting the other team back in the game, did you like the rule change that makes it more difficult to recover an onside kick, or what's your philosophy?
The rule change makes it supposed to make it a little bit easier to recover because there's less players in the box. So you have to have that other guy out of the setup zone outside of the 40-yard line. He can't enter the setup zone until the ball's contacted. So they're trying to have more recoveries there. What I'm saying is, we shouldn't be trying to find ways to get the team that's losing the ball back. That's my opinion.
Last resort, it's still a useful play.
Yeah, I think the play as it is great. I don't think we should be even thinking about going to like 4th and 15. Like, that's dumb to me. It really is. Like, why are we trying to give the team that's losing the ball back? So.
When you talk about need to get leaving too many yards out there in the return game, are you talking both punt and kickoff?
No, I think specifically the punt return unit. Yeah, just decision making. We haven't maximized our yardage there. We really haven't. I think, being more aggressive to get downhill, decisions to field the ball, things like that. So we're definitely that's been a big emphasis, and our guys are going to be ready to rock.
I think last time we talked, you said you still thought DPJ was the right guy.
Yeah, and I think that he can still, be the guy. But he understands, and we understand that we need to be better. We need to set up on the ball better. We need to attack coverage better. We need to understand what the scheme's calling for, and understand their personnel and where we're trying to attack. So I think we have a better understanding of what we want to get accomplished in this, the next 3 quarters of the season.
Have you looked at anyone else for that job?
I mean, Elijah has done it. We have some guys on the practice squad that have done it. So, you know, we're always – I mean, the personnel department does a great job being able to give us players to work with. And there's always – you always have those lists out there for guys that, you know, you have an eye on. So Donovan's done a good job setting up, you know, on the ball and catching it when he does catch it. So he's got to do a better job of getting downhill.
Corey's been one of the best in the league at, you know, kind of pinning guys and pinning teams inside the 10. You know, talk about that skill, if you could, that he possesses, and, you know, harnessing that and, you know, developing that skill.
Yeah, I think, you know, he's done a tremendous job, you know, in practice with the practice reps. We worked out on Thursdays to start practice. So our gunners get out there and, you know, give him the best shot to get it down inside the 10. We've missed some opportunities early in the season in those chances, so hopefully we can capitalize on those moving forward. But no, Corey's done a great job overall.
So much personnel has obviously changed for you guys, especially in training camp in the early part of the season. Like, I know Andrew talked about last week, like the bye week coming that early is never really super great, but did it just kind of give you guys a chance to like catch your breath in this phase of the game and just reassess everything having that week off?
Yeah, it honestly, like in my opinion, like I'm glad that we had the bye when we did. It enabled me to go back, look at the first 4 games. Okay, where are the areas we really need to improve in, and why we haven't had, you know, we haven't been bad. You know, we haven't, you know, I'm not going to say what we've done well and what we haven't, but we can definitely be a lot better. We can be a lot better on teams. And, like, my expectations for this unit is we haven't even scraped the surface at all. And I anticipate our players are going to come out the next 3 quarters of the season and play a lot better in every phase.
To do in those first 4 games, how do you feel like the guys have maybe responded to your special teams philosophy or what you're trying to get them to do through those first 4 games?
I think we've done a good job with, you know, our footwork in a lot of in pretty much every phase. I think that's been good. I think everyone is, you know, the more that we're together, the more meetings we have, the more practice reps we have, guys are just starting to get it. Like, it just feels like now, like after the bye, we're back, we're in meetings, we're at the walkthrough yesterday, we're running our kick returns and going through our punt stuff, and it just feels like guys are starting to get it. And I looked around and I'm like, we look like a, you know what, football team finally. So I think that those guys, and look, it's you're taking on a new defensive scheme, you're taking on a new kicking game scheme. It's going to take time, and it's taken enough time, and we're ready to, you know what.
Dustin Hopkins, before he got here, he had only 50% of his kicks beyond 50. He's 3 for 3 now. But has something happened to make him more accurate there, or have you helped him do something? Or?
No, I think I talked about it a handful of times already with you guys. Just he's done a good job. He, Corey, and Charlie have gotten on the same page fast. The operation has been really good. So that always helps. That always helps the kicker whenever the operation can be smooth. And he's done to his credit, he's done a really good job of finishing on the ball, getting through the kick, and he's got plenty of leg strength to hit it from any distance. The accuracy, 3 for 3, hopefully ends up being 10 for 10. Hopefully we don't need to hit 50-yard kicks. But when we have the opportunity to do so, he's going to hit them. Sure.
You were on Mangini's team when you went to New Orleans and won that game with all those special
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Do you have a bag of tricks like that?
Look, we all have bags of tricks. It's when you're going to use them, Yeah, in that game, geez, I remember We ran. Reggie Hodges had the sneak up the middle for like, was it 75? Yeah, I remember I was playing wing, and I had to, and I, as you know, I'm blocking my guy outside, and then I'm running down the field and looking at the play later, like years later, I blocked Jimmy Graham, who was playing on special teams that year. Then we threw, what else did we run in that game? Cribbs had the throwback to Eric Wright, and then David Bowens had like 2 defensive touchdowns in the game, and we won by like 3 or something like that. Yep. Yeah.
Much from him?
From Brad? Yeah, Brad. I mean, yeah, Brad is. I mean, I learned, everything I know in the kicking game from Brad and Bill. So those guys. Brad is a huge influence and a huge mentor for me. He brought and I played for Brad in New England, played for him here, played for him in San Francisco for 2 years. Brad, he's a senior assistant in Philly. He got hired there mid-season, I think, last year.
You finished out there, right? In San Francisco.
My last 2 years in San Francisco, yes.
It's like as a coach then going against your old team. I know you got to kind of process all that out.
Yeah, there's going against your old team. There's not a lot of the same type of people there, so it's different. It doesn't feel like the same to me, I guess you would say. Whereas like when I coached against New England, it was different because it's all the same people. But yeah, I'm excited for an opportunity to go against a really good unit. They got a good young kicker. The specialists are talented. They got a really good returner in McLeod, so we're gonna have to do a good job in coverage versus this team. But emphasis on playing clean, making good decisions, playing aggressive. I think we have a tough unit. I think we're tough mentally. I think we're physically tough, and I just want to be able to show that in the next 3 quarters of the season.
So when we ask you next week about going against your former team, you'll have fresher ideas, huh?
Oh, next week? For next week's team? Who do we play next week? Oh, okay. All right, thanks. Yep.
juggle things when you're not sure who's going to be playing quarterback. How challenging has it been this week?
It's always, it's challenging when you're not sure, for sure. But that's part of our business. It's nothing new for any coach. You just roll with it and get your, who's available, get those guys ready to go and put a plan together that hopefully makes them successful on Sunday.
How's PJ looked? Kevin was saying yesterday that he's grasping things and can come along well.
Yeah, he looks good. He throws the ball really well. I liked him coming out when I was in Green Bay. We were talking about our visit he had up to Green Bay earlier before the draft. I always thought he was a really good quarterback, so I followed him through my time of evaluating him in college and through his career. I think he does a nice job.
Are you sure who's playing quarterback Sunday?
Oh, no, I don't think so. That's the thing. It's up in the air, but we'll see. Obviously, if Deshaun can make it, that'd be great. And if he can't, then PJ will be just fine. So we're ready for either scenario.
Does it make it any easier? Might not be the right word, but knowing you might be going with PJ rather than that Baltimore game you didn't know until.
Yeah, I think it gives the guys opportunity to have a feeling maybe I'm going Sunday as opposed to I'm not sure right up into game time. So he'll have time. All of our guys should prepare as if they're starters. That's kind of how we preach in the quarterback room. Everybody's starting this week, so everybody should be prepared equally.
You probably don't want to go through what you guys went through before the Ravens game where it goes up to game time and nobody really knows what's going on. Ideally, in a perfect world, would you guys like to know by Friday?
Yeah, Mary Kay, I think it's probably a Kevin question. Earlier the better, the later it's not, however it plays out. Obviously, we're going to give him every chance to make it, to the game. But, that's a Kevin question.
And maybe you can't answer this one either, though. I mean, have you seen situations, or maybe you've even done it yourself, where you don't really practice during the week and you can still get out there on Sunday and be effective?
Yeah, plenty of times. Plenty of times. Veterans, especially guys with experience, it's always great to have a week of practice. But, guys that have been there and done that, I've seen those guys step on the field and play without practice for sure.
At what point does it become an issue where, he hasn't practiced now for, was it three, this will be the third week? Yeah. That it's going to take him some time to kind of reacclimate if it's 3, 4, 5 weeks of practice.
Got to get him going. So as soon as he can get back and be out there and be available, he's doing everything he can, in the rehab process. It's just tough for him. He's a thrower, and it's a shoulder injury. It's like you wouldn't put a running back out there on the field if he couldn't run full speed. So it's kind of just got to wait till that thing gets healed up and he feels good about it and we all feel good about it. But, he's doing everything he can. He's going to have to, he'll have to catch up. But we're not waiting. We got to go.
How has Dorian responded after that
Great.
game?
Yeah, he's a team guy all the way through. I wish he'd had a better experience on Sunday, but it's a learning experience for him. He's got a bright future moving forward. But, he's taking it like a champ. He's going to do everything to help PJ or Deshaun get ready, whoever goes this Sunday. But, he's learning how to be a pro, but the arrow's still up.
When you played, now, did you have a shoulder injury that you tried to play through, or?
Yeah, multiple. Yeah, I've had multiple shoulders. I had a AC reconstruction I played with late in the season, but it took me about 6 or 8 weeks to get back from an AC separation. I played through that. I played through some other things, but it's not fun, when you're living as throwing the football and you can't throw it how you're used to throwing it. It's tough, so it'll take some time, but when he's ready, he'll be ready to roll.
Last week you said that you'd be kind of surprised if Deshaun didn't play against the Ravens, and now we don't even know if he's going to be playing this Sunday. Is that kind of a window to maybe this injury's getting worse, or?
That's a trainer question. That's a Deshaun question. I mean, from what I'm hearing, he's better every day, going in the right direction.
Obviously, Deshaun has a run threat, DTR has a run threat. Does PJ have the same ability and that skill set?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. That's probably why he's here. He feels some of that skill set as well. So.
When you talked about watching him when he was in college and stuff, what stood out to you back then when you first were evaluating?
Yeah, he's a good thrower, a natural thrower. I think his mechanics are really good. His feet are really good. He listens to his feet. He's in rhythm and throws with rhythm in the pass game. A lot of things that I look for in quarterbacks, and he was a guy that really stood out. I'm like, okay, this guy has a lot of the things that I like.
It looks like there's a chance that Joel Bitonio might not be able to play this game. Obviously 102 straight games, hasn't missed a snap. What impact would it have on you if you don't have Joel out there?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to next man up mentality, as you know, If he doesn't make it, then we'll fill his spot. Anytime you miss a Pro Bowl player, obviously it's a big hole to fill, but we'll do a good job getting the guys ready if he's not available.
I know you guys spent a lot of the offseason trying to get explosive plays into the pass game. Like that's an area you thought you struggled with last year.
Right.
And it hasn't been great so far. How do you go about fixing it?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to keep your nose to the grindstone on that, and just keep coming up with scheme and to push the ball down the field, finding ways to get guys open, and finding explosives out there. This defense is tough. They don't give up a lot of explosives, so they make you earn your way down the field. So we'll see how it goes this weekend. But we're always looking for explosives. We have them up every week. A lot of it's just, it's the luck of the call, too. You're calling a play that's built for this coverage, hoping to get it, that they've played, and then they show a different coverage, and you're checking the ball down. So a lot of those decisions are made by how the defense plays as well. But they're definitely, on the call sheet each week.
Like I said, part of it can be scheming open, and part of it's just kind of throwing to a guy, like say one-on-one go beat your guy.
Absolutely.
Is there a balance there between the scheming and that?
There definitely is a balance. We'll give our guys opportunities to go make plays when they're in one-on-one matchups.
Some time during the bye trying to figure out how to maybe get Tillman and Goodwin more involved. It feels like they've kind of been underutilized.
Yeah, I think that especially with Sed as a rookie, kind of finding his way through. Definitely talked about it, in the bye week of maybe spreading some reps around some other guys.
Yeah, it's a defense that forces a lot of turnovers and ball security was a big topic of conversation during the bye week, and I guess you're going into a game not knowing who your quarterback is and facing such a formidable defense. Just what do you do this week to emphasize ball security, because it just feels like that's just going to be so critical for you guys on Sunday?
Absolutely. That's the number one objective of this game, is to come out with 0 giveaways. And it's been talked about already this week. It'll be talked about all the way up until game time. So we'll give ourselves a chance to win when we don't turn the ball over, period. And it's a good defense, sure. But, regardless of who's playing, we can hold on to the ball and we can make good decisions from the quarterback position.
Kevin said that one of the goals is to get more from the run offense. So it's easy to say that's what you want to do, but how do you do it?
We have good coaches. Obviously, our scheme, we got to scheme them. Our guys got to play well. We got to block them. We got to run. There's not real magic to it. We've had some good looks. There should be more there in the run game. We expect to be better in the run game than we have been the last few weeks. And I think, our history here is we can run the football. So just getting back on track there with the run game. Obviously, losing Nick is a big part of that. A lot of yards after contact, broke a lot of tackles, did a lot of things, superhuman that Nick is. So finding a way to get those replacement yards, and we just got to be more diligent in the run game and work a little harder.
You said DTR has been a good teammate throughout this, but as a rookie quarterback, I'm sure it took a shot to his confidence, knowing that he's not the backup anymore. How do you, as an offensive coordinator, kind of, bring him along and just try to boost his confidence back up?
Really, it's just, I've been there. I've thrown interceptions in games and gotten taken out and replaced, so I've been there. I've lived it. I'm just telling him it's just part of the learning process. As a young player, I did the same thing, and you got to earn the coach's trust to get back in there and get an opportunity again. But he will, and that's a positive thing. He's not taking it as a negative. He's taking it as a learning experience.
DeJuan's going to make his 4th start, and he starts with T.J. Watt. He gets Nick Bosa this week.
Yeah.
Just, how is he have you seen him sort of respond to these kind of challenges?
Yeah, I mean, he's not backed down from anybody. He's a big man in his own right. He can hold his own on the edge. He's done a good job, especially in pass protection. But he's still, again, a rookie that's in there that's learning all the nuances of playing tackle in the NFL. But we continue to get better each week. I think we'll be in good shape there.
The concern is Jerome's knee injury as you guys head into this game.
None. No.
How much of the 49ers defense is built around the front four, kind of like your guys is, and what kind of challenge is that for an offensive line that has had its ups and downs?
Yeah, that's a really good group. There's no doubt about it. Probably one of the top front sevens in the NFL, if not the. They're big, they're strong, they're long. The front four is awesome. Fred Warner is, in my opinion, one of the top 2 linebackers in the league, playing at an extremely high level. So huge challenge for us. We talked about challenges early in the week, this being one of them. but it's also an opportunity. You know, we get to go out and play these guys and give it our best effort. But that's a good defense, and we know we have a challenge ahead of us again, but I'm just encouraged these guys look at the opportunity. We got some chances. We're going to have chances to make some plays. We got to make them.
Deshaun Watson's shoulder injury presents, but how much of it has been maybe a learning experience for you guys too, with the way that injury doesn't have a set timetable? It's just kind of waiting around. How much has that helped you guys kind of figure out game planning around that?
Yeah, I think it helps a little bit, but I mean that's the nature of all injuries. You know, in the NFL, it may be a week, it could be linger to 3, could for everybody, not just Deshaun. So just being able to be flexible and again putting your guys, whoever's available, in the best positions to win is what we're focused on.
Alex, how helpful is how Amari Cooper communicates with the quarterbacks, especially with PJ, as he's gone through taking reps this week, but like just kind of their communication style this week?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be great. You know, they have to be on the same page. How are we going to attack certain coverages, certain corners, things like that, and that's always a conversation that goes right up through the game. You know, and doesn't end until after the game on Sunday. But very good. Amari's really good at his communication, brings clean, good communication when he says something. You know, it is what it is. So just keeping that line of communication open all the way through the game.
How did you guys land on Harrison Bryant as your designated sneaker?
We drew straws. I don't know. He's done some emergency stuff on Saturdays for us and thought that he gave us an opportunity to get a bigger body in there that could push the pile and take the snap.
Speak on the toughness, if there is such, on Deshaun Watson, because we're told that he's cleared medically to play, yet he's not playing. So it seems like he's on the surface that question.
I would never, ever doubt his toughness. Never. I would never doubt his toughness. I've seen him play. I've seen him do some amazing things, fight through things. That is not the issue at all whatsoever. Again, if I'm a running back and I can't run full speed, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. I might be cleared medically, but I can't operate, with my strength, which is my legs as a runner. So same as a thrower for him. I would never, ever doubt his toughness. He's tough as nails.
The concerning part of all this is that that he's played through so much and him being held out after being medically cleared.
I mean, it's an injury. He's playing through an injury. He's trying to get better. He's getting better each week, and it's an injury to his main, weapon, his throwing circle. So we'll get him back when he's ready. Hopefully it's sooner than later. But I would never ever think if he can play, he's going to play. He's a fierce competitor.
There's a lot of conversation about the Eagles' brotherly shove there, where they just kind of all pile behind the quarterback and shove him forward. What's your thoughts on that play? Is it safe, and is that something that you have looked at that you think might work here too?
Yeah, no, we've discussed it, and I think analytics would tell you it's not that much more successful than a regular sneak. It's new, obviously, but as more data comes back on it, I'm not sure where the injuries lie on those types of sneaks, but I think we've been pretty effective here just sneaking it normally. All righty, thanks, guys.
Okay. All right, good night.
You've defended Shanahan 5 different teams, 5 different locations. Tell me about the battle, the challenge that lies ahead in the chess match of you and him.
Yeah, I think a little bit is too much is made of chess matches. I play a little bit of chess, and the pieces always move exactly where they're supposed to move, right? You think you got checkmate, but your queen comes up one space short. So there's a human element to the whole thing, and we're just trying to put our players in the best position to be able to make plays. But certainly have a lot of respect for Kyle, gone against him for a long time. I think maybe 2007, 2008, when I was with the Titans, might have been the first time he was down in Houston. I think my greatest compliment to coaches is that they evolve over time. And I think that, what we defended back, in 2008 was a little bit different than, for Houston, what he did in Washington, what he did in Cleveland here, what he did in Atlanta, and what he's doing in San Francisco. And he does a good job of scheming for his players. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. You're not out there trying to stop a play caller. You're out there trying to stop his players. And we're going to have our work cut out for them. They're a very, very efficient offense. They run the ball as well as they pass it. They're not a one-dimensional team. They can make big plays. They can also throw short passes and run after the catch. They got a lot of outstanding run after the catch players. Whoever it is, Samuel and McCaffrey and Debo. I saw a stat this week where they have one of the shortest depth of route in the whole NFL, but they lead the NFL, or they're second in the NFL in yards per pass. So it tells you that short passes are creating longer plays. So we're going to tackle well. We're going to tackle a lot better than we did against the Ravens. That was a big part of that game.
You've seen his offenses over the years. Is this the best supporting cast he's had?
I don't know. Atlanta, he had a pretty good cast with Julio and Matt Ryan and a lot of other guys in there, Sanu, and I don't know. He's had a lot of good players. This group stands alone. Every group every year stand alone. But I think probably the biggest thing that stands out is they have so many multi-purpose players, multi-position players. I think a common thing is people say positionless players. These guys aren't positionless. They have multi-positions. McCaffrey can be a wideout. He can be a running back. Debo can be a wideout. He can be a running back. Kittle can be a tight end. He can be a wideout. Juslick can be a fullback. He can be a tight end. He can be a wideout. He can carry the ball. They put a lot of I don't want to say stress, but they make it where you just can't defend one thing. They can be in 21 personnel, 2 backs, a tight end, and 2 wideouts, and they can make you defend 12 alignments, 11 alignments, empty alignments, 2 back alignments, and they'll all use their wide receivers to block. Their wide receivers do an outstanding job of blocking. So, we're going to have to play our game and accentuate our guys. We have some multi-purpose players that can do a lot of things. It's going to be a great matchup. This is NFL football at its finest. This is an outstanding offense, a good defense. We'll be ready for it.
You just mentioned the Baltimore game. Was it you guys missing tackles, or did they see something in the first 3 games that they were able to maybe find a weakness in?
We did miss a lot of tackles. I think we had about 120 yards after missed tackles in that game, and I bear some responsibility. That's not on the players. I can get them closer to the play, and I think that can help them. But when it was all said and done, Jeff, my biggest disappointment from that game was right after the first turnover. We had started the game. We look like us, right? I don't, if 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, we gave up a couple plays in there, but man, we were flying around and, we look like us. And then we took the field after the turnover, and, we have a missed assignment, and we give up a touchdown on the very first play. And I think that's probably the biggest disappointment. You got a rookie at quarterback. We needed to have his back. We needed to hold that to a field goal right there. And, in my mind, that really changed the game. We could have gained some momentum. We got a red zone stop right there, held him to a field goal. And, I think it could have been different. We came back the next drive. We got a turnover, but we didn't play great in that drive. And, so that was probably the biggest thing. When the team needs us the most, we have to be able to respond. And I didn't like the way that we did. The players didn't like the way that went. We have a lot of pride, and, we need to do better than that. And also, I didn't like the way we finished, or we didn't like the way we finished. After that it probably doesn't affect the game, but we gave up a couple first downs at the end of that game where we just got squirrely. We came out of coverage and we were undisciplined on some stuff, and we didn't look like us. We need to look like us. When we're at our best, it looks like 15 guys are on the field, right? Guys are flying around and playing together, and we might miss tackles, but the next guys are there to clean them up. So that's probably the biggest thing. Yeah, they did some scheme stuff that but we adjust to. We adjusted actually in the second half on a lot of it. But like I said, I think our job is to have the offenses back when they make mistake. I'm sure they feel like their job is to have our back when we give up a play. And that was probably the biggest thing in that game. We turned the ball over and we didn't do our job. We could hold them to a field goal right there, and I think that game changes. So we have a lot of pride as a group. Our guys aren't satisfied with their performance, and they know they have a big challenge this week, and they're looking to make amends for it.
Yeah, the system seems to suit Purdy really well. What have been your impressions of him?
Well, I think it goes back to Tony's question. It's just Coach Shanahan, putting his guys in the best position. It's changed a little bit, depending on who his quarterbacks have been, the way that they run things. And Purdy is a extremely accurate passer. He's got a quick release, and he anticipates very well, and he works the ball around. I think a little bit overplayed is the whole point guard thing, but he does. I mean, there's a reason it's a cliche. It's because he does look like a point guard out there. He's finding the open guy. He's getting rid of the ball quick. He's putting the ball in position for guys to be able to run after the catch. So.
In terms of Myles Garrett going up against, at least part of the time, Trent Williams, just how amazing is Trent, and what kind of battle do you see between those two guys coming up?
Yeah, Tony mentioned a number of times I've gone against Kyle Shanahan. Trent Williams has been on the opposite side a lot of times, and that's a tough battle. He's been a premier player in this league for a long time. I think he's 14 or 15 years. It seems like it's been longer than that. It seems like he's been around forever. Good in the run game and the pass game. It's not just the pass game that matchup is going to be important. They're a balanced team, and we need to do a good job against the run. So, it's really never about just a personal one-on-one matchup. They do a lot of different things scheme-wise. We have to do our job within the scheme. And but again, I talk about great matchups, and this is one. I think this is NFL football. And within that, you have individual matchups, and I'm sure that's one that the fans will be watching, and we'll be watching.
How different is their use of motion before the snap, and how difficult is that for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, about 80% of their snaps include some sort of shift or motion, including double shifts in motion. And I think, on defense, we do a lot of things to try to change the picture for the quarterback after the snap, right? I think that, that's important to us, just to try to buy us a little bit of time for our pass rush to get home. And sometimes, it looks like man, all of a sudden it's zone, or it looks like zone, it's man. It looks like, you're playing off and all of a sudden you're up, or, it's blitz, a surprise blitz, or you're up in a blitz and it's a bail. Well, they do the exact same thing with their shifts and motions. They present you a formation, and then all of a sudden at the last second change it to something else. It puts pressure on your communication and your assignment. So I think that, we have a lot of challenges in the game, but dealing with that kind of stuff is important. I would say this, it's much more difficult for them to do that on the road. And, when the fans are loud and it's hard for them, they've had a couple road games that the crowd really wasn't in it or got taken out of it. And we always take a lot of pride in trying to keep our fans engaged, and they can have an impact on the game because that stuff is so well timed and it's so well coordinated that if they're having a hard time with their communication, it can negate some of that. But that's a huge part of this game, is dealing with all that different stuff. And it's not just on first and second down. It's not just run game. It carries over to the passing game. It carries over to third down. It's one of the things that they do, and our job is to try to find a way to defend it.
The first play of the year, we remember Za'Darius affected that first game of the year with the very first play. What's he been like since then?
Before I guess it was the Titans game, he was having a hard time warming up. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he had some back spasms before that game and things like that. But we don't just judge ourselves on rushing the passer. It's playing the run, and then also we view ourselves as a group up front. And I think you've seen this a few times this year where maybe one guy creates the pressure and somebody else makes the sack. And, we have an unselfish group up front. And, Z's had some pressures that other people have cleaned up the sacks. Does that change the end of the play? Probably not. Does it look different in the stat book? Yeah. But when you have unselfish players and guys that only care about results like Z does, I think it makes it a little bit easier to deal with. We have to take advantage of the opportunities that we have, but particularly up front, we play as a group, and as long as somebody's making the play, we celebrate that, and we really don't care who it is. Okay? All right, guys, I got to run out to walk through.